For our final exercise of solving formula for the specified variable, we have v equals d2 minus d1, all divided by t2 minus t1, and we need to solve for t1. So in this case, as you might have noticed, we have a fraction equals another fraction. Okay? One approach that we could take here is that since we have a fraction equals a fraction, we could do cross multiplication. Okay? This v is going to multiply the t2 minus t1, and this one is going to multiply d2 minus d1. Okay? That way, we're going to get rid of fractions. Okay? So let's start with that. So v is going to multiply t2 minus t1. Again, we use parentheses because we have more than one term here, equals the other cross multiplication. 1 multiplied by d2 minus d1. So the next step that we want to do is that notice we have the t1 inside the parentheses, okay? That means that we have to take it out somehow or get rid of these parentheses. In order to get rid of these parentheses, we have to get rid of this v that is multiplying all of that. So let's get rid of v. By doing that, to get rid of v, notice that it's multiplying, so we have to divide, which is the opposite of multiplication, okay, into both sides. Okay, so that way this v that is multiplying all of this and this v that is dividing, notice that they both outside of the parentheses, so we could actually cancel them. So we are just left with t2 minus t1. There's nothing here because the v cancel, so we are just left with t2 minus t1 equals, notice in the numerator, this one is going to multiply all of this, right? So eventually we're going to left out with the same thing, right? d2 minus d1. Because 1 multiplied by all of this is just all of that, divided by v. Now, the next step is to solve for t1. But notice here, this is a little bit tricky. t1 is actually negative, okay? We want t1 to be a positive t1. So let's do this instead. Let's move t1 to the other side so that it will become positive. And then move all of this to the left side so we could leave the t1 by itself. So let's do that. So let's move the t1 first. So it's negative, right? The opposite will be adding t1, right, to both sides. And we will have t2 in the left side. And in the right side, we are left with d2 minus d1 divided by v plus the t1. Notice now, all we have to do is to move this, all of this term, to the other side. But notice that we have a plus between this term and this term, right? That means that this term is adding. So the opposite of adding is subtracting the whole term. d2 minus d1 over v to both sides, okay? So we are going to have the t2 minus all of this term, okay? So in the right side, this cancel. So in the right side, I'm left with only t1 positive. And in the left side, t2 minus the fraction that we had. Okay, and that's gonna be our solution. Now, let's rewrite this solution in another way. Some books might have it in a different way, but it's okay. It's the same answer, okay? Some books will do the distribution of the sign into these two terms right here. That means that this d2 will turn out negative and this d1 will turn out positive, okay? So they might have it as the following. T2 now plus, okay, because this negative will be distributed, so automatically we are left with plus. Now this become negative and this become positive. That means that we will have D1 minus D2 divided by V. Okay, so both solutions are correct. This one or this one.